Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Tea Talk with Goodness Usman, your number one real estate talk show in Africa, and that's thanks to each and every one of you who keep showing up every Sunday 4 p.m. when we upload a new episode. And I'm super excited to be here with you guys on another segment of our Ask a Lawyer. And today, of course, the Ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n Ọ̀mọ̀wé Barrister Lawyer is here with me. Please help me introduce yourself again to people at home.
Thank you, and it's my pleasure to be here again. My name is Emmanuel Ajayi, a property lawyer.
Hmm, you've heard him. He's a barrister lawyer that we call the law. I want to say special thank you to everyone who's been watching the segment, especially those of you who give me feedback that say that we should keep this up. Please, I am making this request now before we get into the topic of the day that you should please send in your questions. Send in your questions. Like I said in the previous episode of this segment, that it is a pro bono. We're not paying him for his time for coming here to, do this with me. However, one of the things that we continuously encourage him to show up and still keep doing it on pro bono is when he can read these questions from you guys directly. So, John Tori along, to me Allah, I need to learn you both very well. Please, I'm begging you, please put in your questions. Yes, I know that some of you don't like to comment on social media, but this will help us. Your questions, he will be seeing the questions directly, and then not just the fact that he's saying the question directly and that keeps him coming back, but then he will have more fulfillment, and I will also have more fulfillment knowing that we are addressing directly things that you have issues or we're giving you value for what exactly you need. Okay, we don't want to be telling you what you probably already know or telling you what you don't really need. So please hit the comment section right away and put in your question. And trust me, we're going to take them one by one. For those of you that have following us on this channel, you already know me. That even when you suggest an area on our Know Your Neighborhood series, I will do it. Or you ask me to do this, I always do it. So this is now very, very important. So ladies and gentlemen, are you ready?
Very much ready.
Okay. For those of you that have been following us on the Tea Talk show, you know that we have a tradition that we usually observe before we go into the show proper, before we have all the discussion. So I want to say to you that is watching me anywhere you are in the world, whether you're in the UK, US, Canada, Asia, anywhere, Australia, how about you just relax? If you're not comfortable, maybe you're at work, you should save this video and put a reminder so that you can watch it later when you're more relaxed, because this is a video that you watch with grabs attention, and that's why I say you should also perform the rituals with us. So grab yourself a cup of tea, maybe a cup of coffee like him. Yes, the last time he was here, he made a request for coffee, and we make sure that he has his coffee ready.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So grab yourself a glass of water, glass of juice, glass of whatever will rock your boat. Relax, get ready to learn and unlearn. Do not forget to start sending in your question via the comment section, or you can send it to us directly on WhatsApp. So shall we go ahead and perform our ritual?
Please.
All right. Okay, guys. So I have my green tea ready. He has his coffee ready, and we're going to do what? Cheers to you guys. Okay. Oh no, 3 does again. The last one. Ooh. Oh. Oh my word.
That's
all
true.
right. That's chill.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So ensure that you have quite a lot of it so that you just sleep time to time while we go on the show. All right, so we're going to get into today's topic, and we have this in sections. I hope that in this particular episode we're able to cover all the sections, but if we're not able to, we'll have a part 2 of this conversation. So but diving deeply into deed of assignment. So
Okay.
my questions are borderline around deed of assignment. So are you ready?
Very much ready. Thank you.
Okay, so the very first question I have here is what is a deed of assignment in the context of real estate? Now, when I was putting this question together, I was asking myself, is there any other context at which we use the word deed of assignment?
And basically, not really.
Okay.
Once it is a deed, then it's a property transaction.
Oh, okay. All right, so let me rephrase my question now. What is a deed of assignment and how does it differ from a sales agreement or a deed of?
Okay, thank you for that. Deed of assignment is a legal document, or sometimes you can say a legal instrument that transfers ownership, the total ownership of a prospective seller to the new buyer.
Okay.
Unlike sale of contract, the contract of sale or sales
Or deed of
agreement,
sales.
any way you call it, that's only establish the relationship, the rights and obligations between the two parties, what they need to do, what they did not need to do. So it's quite different. It doesn't that one doesn't sales contract of sale doesn't transfer the ownership. Did only transfer the ownership and everything in a property.
Mm.
That's the basic difference.
Okay, okay. And of course, so it's a legal document that transfers.
A legal document, a legal instrument.
Okay,
Mm.
instrument of document. Okay, all right. So thank you for telling us what that means. Now, the reason why I started with that question is because you might just be throwing the word deed of assignment around, and someone watching honestly and genuinely don't know what a deed of assignment is, and that's possible. Because
Right.
if you are new into the Nigerian real estate market, or basically real estate market, and you have not done any transaction, you wouldn't know what it is. So,
Mm-hmm.
but probably would have been coming across the word, but you don't even understand what it means. And that's why I wanted us to start with that definition. So thank you once again. So that takes us to question number two, guys. What are the essential elements that must be included in a deed of assignment?
Okay, now there are many elements, or we can call them clauses,
Okay,
that should be
clauses.
available,
Okay.
in a deed, and that's starting from the parties. We
Okay.
must ensure the parties are rightfully, indicated on the deed. If it's coming from an individual, make sure the legal name of the person is there. If it's from a company, if it's from a community, if it's from a family, you ensure principal members, and other representative,
Of the family.
yeah, of the family. When it's a family, transaction, you make sure all of these names are available and they are, well spelled and arranged. And also the buyer, you ensure your name is correctly, spelled there. And when, let's say, maybe it's a property that couples or family wants to buy, they should always, ensure it is not you don't write it as Mr. and Mrs. to be one party.
Yeah, thank you.
Ensure it is Mr. so 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 and Mrs. so so so. So that is one element, or part of D that is very much important. And secondly, which we always say people to pay more attention to, because that's like what gives you the insight into the property you're about to buy. The reciter. You must ensure that the part of the reciter, expressly and comprehensively, explain the history of the ownership of the land. Because in the course of our practice now, we've seen a lot of deed where they were unable to really establish it. Just something like, as I know, is the beneficial owner, not really stating how beneficial owner became the owner. The chain of the transfer of that property must be expressly and comprehensively, provided in the reciter. That is very much important. And also describing the property. One must ensure that the property that you are buying is the same thing that they describe to the fullest of explanation they can make. Okay, this so property with this so. You must ensure they describe the exact property you are buying. And moving forward, you must also ensure there is a clause that transfers, because that's the essence of deed. Like I said earlier, it is a legal document and transfer ownership. So you must also make sure that a clause that expressly transfer the ownership, all of the legal interest in that property, is expressly stated in that deed, that the person is transferring, and also assuring you of a peaceful possession of that same property. Another, elements I always make sure is available, or that I can say people should make sure it is available, is the representation and warranty. Where the assigner is able to tell you, okay, I warranty this. If this so happen, I'm responsible to this extent. All of these should be available in a deed, right? And it must be signed in the presence of a witness. Both parties must attest it. They must sign it. Their witness must also, sign accurately. And the last thing, which I think is much more important, is make sure a lawyer also frank it. You understand? Not just because I've also seen some deed. I don't know, maybe because people don't just want to spend money. They go to business centers or all of this cyber cafe, tell them to draft deed. They only get a template and just put something, although they don't even know what they are really doing. But that kind of deed cannot be franked by a lawyer because it's not prepared by one. So these are basic elements one should ensure it is available in any document we ascribe as deed.
That's so many things packed in one. So many answers packed in one question.
There's too much just to mention a few.
That has just been giving me too many questions. I just don't want to cut you. So I want to start with the last one. So are you saying that if you cite a deed, or if I give you a deed now, you would know it wasn't drafted by a lawyer? You easily detect?
Basically, I would say yes, though we still have some very intelligent people that are not into the field. But however, there is no amount of intelligence as to having someone who is trained for years on this particular subject matter, and someone who has been doing it every day. You can always tell the difference that, oh no, this is not available. And most importantly, there is this principle I have always encouraged to be in a deed. It is a principle of law, uberrima fide. That is like let's say a principle of utmost good faith. That parties are saying everything I have explained. It is what it is. You understand? So, and what the principle is saying is, if what you're saying is not what it is, you are responsible, you're liable to the extent of the inconsistency.
Okay. Thank you for that. In my head, I'm already saying, goodness, this you have very lawyer proceeding. Okay, so when you were talking about how is the deed depending on who, between who and who the deed is, right?
Right.
The assignee and the assignor, right? Now you're saying in the case of is a family transaction, maybe the Usman clan who needs to be there, Now, are you saying when it's in the case of a family property, every important family member must be what? I bet that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, it depends, because we have several families. We have some are monogamy, some are polygamy. So if it's, for instance, let's say it's polygamy, and we say this is a man Alaji with four wives. So in Yoruba they say Idi Igi. In that case now, that is like the person is having four Idi Igi. So in selling a property that pertains to this kind of family, you are making sure there is someone who first there is someone who identify himself or parade himself to be the Olori Ebi. The head of the family. After that, you must make sure all of the other, families, maybe the other wives, there is at least one representative.
Their own mini Olori Ebi.
Yeah. So if it is a family you are drafting everything to say the Oshodi family represented by Mr. Kunle Oshodi, head of the family, and also represented by so. So you have to the reason for this is we've had cases where some family don't live in amity, and once the head of the family, who is like the father, that bring all of them together. When the person is no more available, you see maybe the 2 or 3 part of them that are in good terms, they come together to sell outside the consent of
others.
So ensuring that all of these representatives are available will save you a lot of stress and risk in the future time where anybody can still come for adverse to lay claims to the same property. Yeah, so that is it as to a family property. Yeah.
Thank you for clearing that. Okay, so I have an extension question to that, because based on the area of this real estate in Nigeria that I deal with is more corporate entities, right? Because most of the properties I sell are bought by corporate entities, not really an individual. But we've seen cases where in the deed, actually even in the contract, because of the transfer of ownership, which you talked about when we were talking about contract of sale, the deed is not between the buyer and the XYZ company. It's now between the buyer and the owner of the company. So now let me explain. Let me break it down. I'll give you an example. Yeah, if Nigeria Realty sells property now, Nigeria Realty wants to sell property to you, right? Or to Mr. Kunle. Now, Mr. Kunle, before the deed, when entering the transaction, believed that the contract of sale will say that the transaction is between Mr. Kunle and Nigeria Realty. But then you see cases where the deed now says, when it gets to the deed, it now says that the transaction is between Mr. Kunle and Goodness Usman, now no longer Nigeria Realty. Maybe because, so what causes these things? Number one, is it because, I don't know, just explain why such transactions happen, and when that happens, what's just break it down for us. Scenarios like that.
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say, and cases like that are where there are defective title. Right? So let's take for instance, a family owns an expanse of land, let's say 10 acres. They were able to perfect their title, a C or 4. You understand? So they sold to a corporate organization who is going to, split the land and sell to the final. Yeah. So if the company who bought directly from the family with the title failed to, perfect their own title,
or yet
to, yes, perfect. Well, they are about selling, so I'm not sure they have intention to steal. By the way, so if they fail to perfect their title, in the contract of sale, the describing parties, it will be between the company and the new buyer, right? Because that's the parties that are having that they are
going into contract.
into contract. But once it gets to deed of assignment, you cannot still have the parties as the company who is selling and the new buyer. Reason is because the company doesn't have a title. So for the new buyer to be able to perfect his own title in the later time or derive a perfect title, then you need to connect the person directly to the predecessor in title with the real title.
The real title holder.
Yeah, because this is in law, you cannot give what you don't have. For the company, they don't have a title yet, so they cannot give. They can only transact on that terms, which will only be available in the contract of sale. But transferring, the only person who is legally recognized to transfer the ownership, it's the original family.
That's why. So they will now still be the one to sign the deed.
Right. And so most time, this is where we see a situation where you have a deed with 3 parties. Usually deed is always I sign on and I sign in. But when there are cases like this where the direct seller doesn't have a title, then it calls for a deed with 3 parties. So you can involve the predecessor in title with a valid title.
And that's legal.
Very legal.
Okay. So there's an extension to that.
Okay.
Now the extension is the company, Nigeria Realty, is the one selling this property to Mr. Kunle. Now Nigeria Realty is the owner of this property. And Nigeria Realty has perfected the title. But for some reason that I don't really understand, or I want you to talk about is we did not perfect the title in Nigeria. We perfected it in Goodness Usman. So the deed still carries, it's now between Mr. Kunle and Goodness Usman. Goodness Usman, who is the owner of Nigeria or a director of Nigeria. So what's
Okay, in that case, if I will be, if I will be holding brief or seeing the transaction through for a client, we have parties that are recognized by law.
Okay.
Yeah. Individual, once you are above 18, you are a legal party. Yeah, you are a legal party. Nigeria Realtor or Realty, yeah, as a corporate body registered under CAC, becomes an artificial person. So, in as much as Goodness is a person capable of entering into a contract or selling property, so is the company an artificial person. Do you get it? So
yes.
They are two different persons. So if anybody is coming to now buy, when at the time of your due diligence, you must be able to verify who is the holder of the title. Holder of the title is only the person that can transfer title to another person. So instead of having to say I bought directly from Nigeria Realty, Kukuma buy from Goodness Usman directly.
So the contract of sale is in Nigeria. I've seen cases like this, and I always wonder why is it like that?
You can, of course, yes.
Is it tax invasion?
Well, I don't want to go into that, right? But then you can enter a contract of sale, with a company, and at the time of transfer from the holder.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's like fine as well, because why I'm ticking all these boxes is that when you treat things like this, which are very sensitive, you now say, come go read their deed. So just for entering somebody's deed, what property has a deed that is not in the name of the company and not the name of the family, is in the name of maybe the director of the company or something, and then you're wondering, is there something? Some people just conclude immediately, even without asking the lawyer, and say that it's shady.
So, that's not really shady. Maybe they are just only, letting the person with the real title transfer,
which is what you have explained to us, that it is only the person that owns the title that can has the legal rights to transfer.
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. I have more questions on that, but I think I'm just gonna
no problem.
And then let's move to the next one.
That's true.
Okay, so let's move on quickly to question number 3 in our section A. So can you explain, just take us through the brief process of preparing and executing a deed?
Okay. The process, depending on the consensus both parties reached, any one of them can draft the deed. But whichever party drafts, after drafting, must ensure they send a draft copy to the other party to review, to ensure that they both agree as to all the terms, obligations in the deed. So once the other party on the reviewing end agrees to everything, they give the drafting party a go ahead to produce the final copy. So on the day of signing, both parties must ensure that their witnesses are available. So as you're signing, your witness also attests to it, right? And after perfection of the attestation, you exchange the copies, and that makes it final.
Okay. So when I'm the one drafting the deed and I'm sending it to you, do you have the right to edit and send back to me?
No, if you are not the one drafting, you can only review
and note.
Yeah, you will review. Then you note down all of your concerns, all of your reservations, put it back to them. If they agree with your position, they go ahead. If not, there will be a ground for maybe negotiation, agreeing on the terms. But once both parties are good with the terms, they proceed to print out for attestation.
So why can't the other person who didn't draft it? Why?
Yeah, because I mean, you are not the one who started the drafting, and you didn't agree with the drafting person that you'll be the one to draft. So it may want to look look like a sharp practice in a way that you've been served and you're trying to no, because of course they have their own legal representative who is doing that for them. So the best thing is just for the other party to review, ensure you read through. Once you don't understand, allow a lawyer who knows better to go through it for you, jot down your concerns, reservations, send it back to them, let them address it. Once they are both on the same page, then they can now set a time to sign both documents in the presence of their witness.
So in a nutshell, it can be the document can be
void.
Not so it's not acceptable. Basically, that's what you're saying. The drafting party should be the one to make all the corrections.
Exactly. Yeah. To modify anything the other concerns of the other party, they make it available for signing.
Okay, I'm learning actually, because I was just saying, what's there? You guys see error.
No.
I can change it. My name is not spelled well.
No.
I can't edit it.
You just you note them down, that you write them on in respect of it.
Is there a particular reason on that?
Well, no, it's just ideally, I mean, sometimes you see buyer says they want to draft, and seller will say, okay, there's no problem. And some cases, if it's like a family land, estate land, some family already have their lawyers. They already have like maybe a template how they explain themselves. So they don't want to go back and forth, or that the other person asking too many questions. So they will just draft it, send to the person to review. So once you review, return back, we both agree on the terms, and that they are good to go.
Okay, all right. Thank you for making that clear, because
welcome.
These are real life scenarios.
You're welcome.
And I just want people to learn from it. Okay, thank you so much. Now let's go to the next question. What rights and obligations are transferred from the assignor, original seller, to the assignee, which is the new buyer, through a deed of assignment? You've been talking about how it's the seller, the right full owner of the title, that has the right to transfer whatever it is. So what's that right and obligation?
Okay, the basic rights and obligations that an assignor transfers to the new assignee is, first, the unexpired residue on that property.
Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, when you apply or you register your CFO, and the government grants it, what the government is saying is that he has given you the land for 99 years, to possess the land for 99 years. So starting from the day of the CFO, the 99 years start counting. So when an assignor is selling or transferring ownership, it transfers the unexpired, the remaining years residue on that land. And another thing majorly that an assignor is transferring is the quiet possession. Because sometimes we still see a time where owner of a property and assignor sells to the assignee. They still come around to say part of the appurtenances belongs to them. You understand? So where obligations or rights that assignor is transferring, the unexpired residue is one. Quiet possession is another. Quiet possession is for you to say, okay, you the whole property has been transferred to me, and you own it, and you're able to use it as just as it is your own. You understand what I mean? Like, not like you still have some interference.
There are cases like that.
Yeah, there are cases like that. Let's say for all these most communal estates where developers developed, sometimes they come around to tell you the part of their office, maybe let's say their playground is like maybe 500 square. In the later time, they will come and tell you this part is still my property. You understand? So for the subscribers or the assignees that bought into that kind of project, they don't have you can't say you have a peaceful possession or quiet possession of that same place. So what assignor is transferring? Peaceful possession.
Okay, so what you're saying is that, let me get this right now. You're saying that you must have everything transferred in totality, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Assignor must transfer everything
the assignor owns.
That he owns on that property peacefully, totally to the new assignee.
Okay.
And also some other obligations as to ground rent. These are other obligations that assignor transfers to the assignee. That is to say, when you buy the land, it's not the assignor that still pays the land use on that property. So that's another obligation, that the assignor transfer. So once you take possession of that, you continue to pay whatever ground rent to the government. So
thank you for pointing that out. So that way you know that way you're buying property. You should not expect that it's the old assignee that is now the assignor is now coming to every do land use charge with Lagos State. Nah. They're taking possession, so be in charge of it. Okay, so anyways, let's go right into the next question. How does a deed of assignment impart the parties' right and obligation under the original sales agreement? You have explained the right and obligation. So how does this right and obligation under the original sales, how does this deed impart it?
Okay, what it does is some of the rights or obligations provided in this contract of sale, at the intervention of deed, it dissolves most of those rights. And it discharges most of the rights and also continue the other right that is still available for the party. You understand? So and another thing it does is it transfers the title from the assignor to the assignee. You understand? So the title, the assignor no longer have a title on that land, but the new assignee has the title. Do you get? So those are just the impact.
Thank you. Today is like I'm dragging you today, okay?
Yeah, I'm down with you.
Okay. So what we did is that I've segmented this deed of assignment, and we have it in 4 segments basically. So we're under the second segment. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up this particular episode on that second segment, section B, and then we'll continue section C, D, and E in the next episode. So the last question under section B is, you see, am I not speaking like a lawyer?
You're one.
So section
lawyer in equity.
What does it mean?
Maybe you're still learning law. You're not a real lawyer yet. You're not learned yet. You're still educated.
I'm uneducated. But I'm not barrister in my name yet.
Not yet. So don't try it. MBA will come for you.
Okay. So my last question under this segment is, can the assignee assume all rights and obligations of the assignor, including any outstanding debts and liabilities? I know you touched on it briefly in the previous question, but please can we now extend it?
Oh yeah, my answer would be yes.
Okay.
Because at the time of executing a deed, every obligation and right, like I mentioned earlier, is transferred to the new assignee. So if there are debts, if there are encumbrances, if there are issues, disputes, everything has been transferred to the new. So the only obligations or rights are the one expressly stated by the parties. You understand that this so you will not be inheriting this, or I'm not passing this. But outside of that, everything is transferred, including the debt, so and the liabilities, and that is another reason for doing due diligence. Because for every registered deed, you can always tell if there are encumbrances, if there are liens, if there are mortgage. You understand? So perfecting due diligence before is very, very important to ensure there are no hidden liabilities or debt that need to be settled.
Thank you so much for answering all of these questions. So let me say to you that are watching, if there are any part of these questions or answers he has given that you still need further clearance on it, please put your question in the comment section and I would ensure that we get to it. Because for us Nigerian citizens, we like to make it as simple as possible. But you know that lawyers now they will still use their terminology. So if you have a question that is contrarily different from what you have treated and it's still discussing deed of assignment, please put it there. Now, if it's completely different from this, of course, put it there. Real life scenarios. You can give us hypotheses, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
And then let's now give us a case study to work on with him. And then you don't have to mention names, of course. You don't have to go too direct because I know some people can be very blunt. You don't have to be very blunt, but you can just give us, like I said, case studies, and then he would break it down for you. And of course, if you need to now do proper consultation with him, because I mean, we can only answer these things on Ferifera.
Yeah.
There are cases you give to us that you have to do one-on-one consultation with him. And thank you. I want to say thank you from everyone.
My player.
People that have contacted you, you have done free consultation with them.
Yeah.
Because they are coming from goodness to thank you so
welcome.
much. Eshegon.
You're welcome.
Yes, people have contacted me and say, oh, I want this person. And so yeah, if you're interested in hiring his services, of course he's available. This is a free bono for you. You're gonna pay. He can just gonna give you first level of free consultation, but then if you want him to really now go do the job, you will pay. Okay, so don't go and say, oh, it's Angune, she said it's free. Consultation is different from actual work. Hey, come out loud because you know you're wrong with it. I'm supposed to come out and read.
Why we cry?
I just wanted to put it out there. Please let me reiterate. Put your questions. Ask your question. He's a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Ask a lawyer segment, please. There's no ask a lawyer segment if you're not asking
the questions.
Yeah. And we want to treat the questions that you are asking. It's very, very important. So thank you so much once again for coming on the show. Please note that I still have loads of questions. I have section C, E, D, and of course F there. So you are not over. We're still going to have the other part. So in the next episode, we're still treating deed of assignment. So please, because we don't want this to be too long, and because it's not a comedy show, it is a very serious matter. If it's too long, people get bored. And when you get bored with it, then you will not make use of the information you're passing through. And what's the point then? If we're doing this and you're not listening and then you're not benefiting from it, it doesn't make any sense. That's why we're keeping it very, very as brief as possible. So please watch out for the continuation of this, a part 2 of this deed of assignment in the next episode, so that you can now fully grasp all the information. Thank you so much for doing this once again. Thank you to all of you watching from home. I hope you're having a beautiful Sunday weekend, relaxed weekend going on. And we pray that as you go into the new week, God will usher your steps, He will guide you, He will protect you. His light will continue to shine on all of your parts. I want to also use this medium to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed, to everyone who has watched this video. Continue to watch, continue to patronize us, continue to share our video. Now, do your friends a favor, your contacts, your family members a favor by sharing this video, and by so doing, they would love you more and they'll say thank you. So thank you on their behalf while you're doing that. So share, hit that share it now. Share it on your socials, share it on your instant story. You never can tell, you don't know who you're helping with this. Share it on your WhatsApp story, share it on your WhatsApp status. Go ahead and share and keep sharing, because these are vital information that can even, the little tips we're sharing here, not so little by the way, they can help a lot of people avert danger. Am I right?
And risk,
Exactly. So the legal word is risk. So yes, do someone a favor. You might even have known all of these things. You might even be a lawyer yourself. You just share it and say, hey, learn from this. One or two things, pick it up from this. So, like we always say in my movie world, it's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We've come to the end of this episode. Once again, thank you to everyone. And don't forget to subscribe, My name, of course, remains Goodness to Spend, your beautiful hours, and the queen of Land of Megan. Of course, my guest here.
My name is Emmanuel Ajayi, your property lawyer. Thank you.
All right. So we're going to see you in the next episode. Remember, we're treating the part 2. And I'm saying to you, wherever you are watching us from all over the world, ensure that you remain safe and awesome just the way you are. So I say to you, oh,